If you've been following antique tractors, you've noticed that more tractors from the 1960s, even the early 1970s, are showing up in collections. And in fact, in my tractor value reports that I do on the show, I'm beginning to see farmers as well as tractor collectors going after chore tractors from this era of the 60s and 70s. I was talking to Dan Prissel, who collects tractors with your father Gary and brother Chad, and you're the tractor doctor too, and do restorations as well as buy and sell tractors. And I'm really interested not only in your collection, but your views of what's happening with what we would call the muscle tractor craze. And certainly that's reflected in what you have in your collection. You've gone after the bigger tractors that were front wheel assist only, right?
Correct. That's the main focal point of our collection. And it's kind of how you're saying, how things are changing. We kind of jumped in before anybody else was really looking at the mechanical fronts.
Right.
Guys were still looking at the smaller stuff and 50s and early 60s stuff. When them are really hot, well, you jump in the next one that nobody's really looking at yet and try and get ahead of everybody.
Dan, when I was out here, we were trying to recall, we featured some tractors in your collection 8, 9, 10 years ago. It was the smaller, the triple-digit Olivers that you had, it's a Minneapolis Moline. How your collection has changed since that time then, because it's mostly the larger horsepowers.
Correct, yeah, at that time it was a lot of the 2 and 3 digit Olivers that we had. Kind of got away from them and just kind of liked the mechanical fronts. Went to that, more rare seemed to be, and just kind of the more higher horsepowered, more desirable tractors. It seems like the generation shift of the collectors, it seemed that was the next thing to come up, so we kind of started to get into them.
Now you're not just restricted to Olivers though.
Nope, we have basically the Oliver line, the Olivers, the Molines that were the same as the Olivers along with the Cockshuts. We do also have 1 John Deere, 1 Case, and 1 Ford in here at the moment.
And then the others that you have are the white tractors then, that those 3 tractor lines eventually just were merged into white.
Correct, yep.
And you even, now white tractors are collectible.
Yep, and even them we're starting to see kind of guys get into the newer ones. It almost seems like another shift in the collection or the generations. We've even started now to pick up a lot of the Series 3 mechanical fronts. Just because the Series 3 were right at the tail end before the Cummins engine started getting put in all the whites. And the Series 3 were just the more updated, and they made fewer years of them than the older brand.
Are you seeing what used to be just Oliver collectors are now buying white tractors, because that was the predecessor, the successor, I mean, to Oliver? And are those guys also getting the minis as well, because it's all one big family, or did they mostly still stay Oliver?
It's weird with the Molines. Them guys kind of seem to stay, if they're the older Moline guys, they stay with the Molines. But like the Oliver guys, we've seen a few of them now that they're migrating into the whites. And then it was real hard with the early Cockshut guys. When they were still Cockshuts, they kind of stayed with. They didn't migrate to the once Oliver and White had purchased them.
Oh, so you'll see collections that are like yours, where you have the Olivers of that vintage, but the Cockshut that were being produced under the Oliver name, but still sold as a Cockshut tractor then.
Correct.
You just like to have the complete line as part of the whole deal.
Yep.
So are there some whites that you're looking for that you kind of are eyeing to add to the collection that way?
I think on the white side, I think we've got just about everything that we've got.
Right now.
We got a 288 mechanical. Might be one where you'd look at getting a 2-wheel drive one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we have seen guys even too now starting, like even the Workhorse series, 2-wheel drive ones, because they didn't make hardly any. We've seen a couple of 195 white 2-wheel drives.
So we can expect, no matter what the color is, guys are going to start looking at those later 70s and 80s tractors, because I just had a Ford collector contact me the other day, and he was all hot after a Ford 8000, and he wanted to get the 9000 too to complete it out. Shoot, those are tractors I grew up with. But then that answers the question, doesn't it? If I had the tractor I'd like to own a 6000 or an 8000 Ford, for example. It's a tractor that I kind of grew up with after we got off the John Deere A. So
Yep, it almost seems like that's how guys first start. Their first one is, well, it was either grandpa's tractor, he bought it new, or dad bought it new, or just something they grew up on all the time or drove, and then it just kind of snowballs and it grows on you.
talk about the business that you operate too. The Tractor Doctor you were doing more repair for farmers, but now you're spending more of your time on tractor restoration for sure.
Correct, yep. For years we were basically strictly just repair, buy and sell for farmers. We'd do our own collection, restorations on the side. It got to the point now where I'm sure it's all the way across the country, the smaller farms are dying, the bigger guys are taking over. So we needed to kind of move on, and after doing our own restorations for how many years, we figured, well, we might as well start doing them for other people.
You'd be deeply experienced in restorations because you've taken on some massive restorations with all the tractors that you have in your fleet. So, and then also you buy and sell tractors. If guys are looking for an Oliver, they can get a hold of you. Well, it might be in your collection, but it might be also something you know about then.
Correct. Yep. We got guys all the time calling us, looking for one of these. If you hear one, let us know. We know guys all the way across the country and Canada that we have bought from, or we know where to get stuff. So, yep, the contacts you gain throughout the years helps out.
So if people wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
The easiest thing, all our contact information would be on our website. It'd be tractor-dr.com.
It was great talking with you, Dan, and it was really great catching up both with your family after we haven't been here for all these years, but to see what has happened to your collection and what's going on with the muscle tractors. You know, for more information about the muscle tractor craze, you can go to agriculture.com/TV. Hi, I'm Dave Mowitz. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit subscribe right here if you haven't already, and click that little bell right here to be notified when we post a new video. And click here to see more great videos.